But look, I just want to emphasize, we have seen how the extremist liberal doctrine of individual liberty at all costs threatens marriage, family, community, but really this extremism threatens the very nature of humanity itself. Through the use of technology, modern liberal states now claim that people have the right to change their gender. If you don't want to be one gender, you can use technology to change it. Even children as young as 3 should have this option, according to the gender and sexuality experts who operate at the highest levels of academia in the Western world and government. But even beyond gender, people are now given the choice to change their species. Some people feel that they're not actually human, but they're actually cats or dogs deep down inside. Nowadays, certain surgeries can be used to physically alter bodies to transition people to their desired appearance. This is what philosophers like Yuval Harari call transhumanism. But gender and species transition is just the tip of the iceberg. You think they're going to stop with gender transition for kindergartners? No, no, no. They're just getting started. Imagine this human rights argument. When babies are born with a certain set of genitalia that could negatively impact their gender identity later on. We need to make sure to genetically alter all fetuses so that everyone is born without any particular set of genitalia. That way, everyone can choose their gender more easily and seamlessly when they're older. That's in line with maximum liberty and maximum equality. Do you have a problem with forcibly altering fetuses to be born without genitalia? That means you're a transphobe. That means you're a bigot. That means you're against equality and human rights. Or imagine this argument. Men naturally have more testosterone, which makes them more prone to violence and rape. It also makes them physically bigger than women in stature. So we need to create a law which forces men to take treatments to decrease their testosterone. Ideally, babies can be genetically modified so that everyone is born with the same exact amount of testosterone. That way we can eliminate rape, we can eliminate domestic violence, and also make men equal to women in terms of physical size and strength. You're not pro-rape, are you? You're not pro-domestic violence, are you? Then you better support these mandatory genetic modifications, otherwise you're violating equality and women's rights. All kinds of drugs and technologies can be used to fundamentally alter our psychologies, our genetics, our biology, all in the name of maximizing individual liberty and equality. And this is already happening. Just watch the news. There are no limits. This extremist liberal human rights ideology is set to destroy the human race itself. And Islam is the only religion and the only community that is pushing back and saying, no, we want to be human beings. We want to preserve our marriages, our families, our community, our humanity. We don't want this never-ending nightmare of human rights. No, thank you. We need to be clear here. This is not a debate about Sharia rejects freedom and equality versus human rights accepts them. This is really a debate about should we have restrictions on freedom and equality in order to preserve other important values versus no limits, freedom and equality extremism of Harris. That is what this debate is really about. Harris is selling you this extremism, and it's exactly like the child that only eats candy. That child is eventually going to die, just like these liberal societies are dying terrible deaths. But Sharia is the balanced meal, and that's why we need Sharia.
The first question says, truly Islam does not allow for free will. Daniel, I think that's for you.
Wait, can you repeat that? Sorry.
They said, clearly Islam does not allow for free will.
No, the argument that I made is that individual liberty and the freedom to choose and equality, these are beautiful values that Islam acknowledges and respects. But Islam says that these are not the only values. There are other values that are important as well and deserve to be respected and preserved. There are other institutions that deserve to be respected and preserved. Institutions like marriage, family, community, and just human biology, humanity itself. That is something that is worth preserving. But in order to preserve those things, sometimes you have to put limits on free choice, on individual liberty. And this is why Islam is balanced. But if you have this human rights extremism where free choice and free will is everything, then that leads to really bad consequences. And the stats, the objective stats, prove how that ideology is destroying marriage, it's destroying family, it's destroying community, it's destroying all these other values. The value of truth, for example. Truth is an important value. Justice is an important value. But if happiness and free will are the only values, why not just put everyone on soma, like on these kinds of antidepressants that put people in a constant state of euphoria? Why not have that kind of future using technology? Because then you'll maximize happiness. And is that going to be the best world that we would live in, where everyone is doped up on soma, like in the novel Brave New World? Is that the future that we want? No, because happiness is not the only value.